James used to believe the path to building real wealth required discovering something most people had not figured out yet: a better investment, a smarter strategy, an insight that separated the people who got ahead from everyone else. After 3 years of searching for that edge, he had a net worth that had barely moved. After accepting that the edge did not exist and replacing it with something far less interesting, his net worth grew by more than $90,000 in 4 years. The thing that replaced the edge was a set of principles so unglamorous that financial content creators rarely talk about them. No dramatic revelation, no secret system. 5 boring disciplines applied consistently over time. This video is those 5 disciplines. Discipline 1. Define your actual number. Most people want to build wealth. Very few people have converted that want into a specific number with a specific timeline attached to it. James's goal was $100,000 in net worth, the first milestone he had read enough about to understand why it mattered. What he did not do initially was translate that goal into what it actually required daily and monthly. When he finally ran that calculation, it changed how he evaluated every financial decision he made. $100,000 in 5 years is roughly $55 of net savings per day, after all expenses, after all taxes, every day of those 5 years. That is not a motivational statement, it is a constraint, a specific, falsifiable number that tells you immediately whether any given financial decision is moving you toward the target or away from it. The research on goal achievement consistently shows that written, specific goals with concrete timelines produce meaningfully better outcomes than vague intentions. Write the number, write the timeline, put it somewhere you see it regularly. The specificity is not cosmetic, it is the mechanism that makes the rest of the disciplines stick. Discipline 2. Become harder to replace. The first discipline addresses where the money goes. This one addresses how much arrives. Every dollar of net worth growth either comes from earning more, spending less, or returns on what is already invested. In the early stages, before a meaningful investment base exists, returns on investments contribute very little. The math is clear. At a 10% annual return on $20,000, the market contributes $2,000 per year. The savings rate contributes everything else. Becoming more valuable in the labor market is the fastest lever available for someone starting from near zero. The question worth asking is not how to earn more generically, but specifically, what skill do you possess or could you develop that is genuinely difficult for someone else or something else to replicate? Scarcity of supply in a skill, combined with meaningful demand for it, is the mechanism that produces above-average compensation. James spent 18 months developing a skill set in data analysis that his employer had previously outsourced. He proposed bringing it in-house and offering to lead it. His salary increased by $14,000 annually as a result. That increment, directed entirely to savings, did more for his net worth trajectory than any investment decision he made. Discipline 3. Attack spending at the largest categories. Most spending advice targets small categories: the daily coffee, the streaming subscription, the impulse purchase. These cuts are real but limited. The categories with the most leverage are the ones most people accept as fixed: housing, transportation, and food. James was spending $1,500 monthly on a 1-bedroom apartment he shared with no one, in a neighborhood 15 minutes closer to downtown than his workplace required. When his lease renewed, he found a comparable apartment 20 minutes further out with a roommate. His housing cost dropped by $600 monthly. That single adjustment, not the coffee, not the subscriptions, produced the equivalent of a meaningful salary increase in after-tax, after-expense savings. The 24-hour rule applied to non-essential purchases above a personal threshold removes a significant portion of impulse spending without requiring ongoing willpower. Most purchases made in an emotional state look different 24 hours later when the emotional state has resolved. The rule doesn't prevent purchasing things you actually want. It reveals which purchases you actually wanted versus which ones felt urgent in the moment and then didn't. Discipline 4. Automate everything important. Financial decisions made manually every month are vulnerable to monthly circumstances, monthly emotions, and monthly rationalizations. Decisions made once and automated are not. The fundamental principle is paying yourself first, moving a fixed amount to savings and investment accounts the moment income arrives before any discretionary spending decision is possible. The lifestyle then adjusts to what remains. This is not primarily a financial strategy, it is an environmental design strategy. It removes the decision from the moment when it is hardest to make correctly and places it in a calm prior moment when the commitment is easier. James set up automatic transfers to a high-yield savings account and a brokerage account on payday. The combined amount was more than he thought he could comfortably save when he set it up. Within 2 months, his spending had adjusted to the remaining balance. He did not experience the reduction as deprivation. He did not notice it much at all because the money was gone before he could form a plan for it. The highest yield savings accounts in the current rate environment pay meaningfully more than standard savings accounts. Automation toward the better account rather than the convenient one requires one afternoon of setup and then runs indefinitely. Discipline 5. Trust the process through the boring period. This is the only discipline that requires no skill and that almost everyone underestimates. Wealth accumulation does not provide regular feedback. It does not tell you whether you are winning or losing on any given Tuesday. In the early years, the progress is nearly invisible, a number that moves slowly, that looks insignificant relative to the target, that could be mistaken for stagnation if you do not understand what is actually happening beneath it. What is actually happening is foundation building. Every automated transfer is purchasing assets at prices that in a growing portfolio are the cheapest prices you will ever see them at. Every day the contributions continue without interruption is a day the compounding base expands slightly. The progress is real, it simply does not look like progress from a close distance. James checked his net worth at the end of year 1. It had increased by $14,000. That number felt small. The target was $100,000. He was 14% of the way there after a full year of disciplined effort. He almost stopped. The gap between where he was and where he wanted to be still looked enormous. What he did instead was run the projection forward, accounting for the fact that compounding growth is not linear, that later years produce more than earlier years, even on identical contribution rates. He could see in the numbers that the trajectory was sound, even when the current balance was discouraging. By year 4, the balance had crossed $92,000. The progress in year 4 alone exceeded the total progress of years 1 and 2 combined. Not because he changed anything, but because compounding had finally gathered enough base to accelerate visibly. The 5 disciplines in this video are not secret. They are not sophisticated. They do not require analytical talent or market timing skill or any specific financial knowledge beyond basic arithmetic. They require definition, skill development, spending discipline, automation, and time. None of those are exciting. All of them work. James's path from near zero to just under 6 figures took 4 years of boring consistency. He watched colleagues make dramatic investment moves and generate dramatic losses. He made no dramatic moves. He made the same 5 boring decisions repeatedly and let time do what time does when given consistent inputs. The boring path is not the compromise path. It is the reliable path. And reliable, compounded over enough time, produces outcomes that impressive-sounding strategies rarely match.